Is that camera angle as good as it could be? Is the lighting as good as it could be?
Your hair looks worse and worse every time I
When we
look
got
at
in the
it.
lift, you said, I like your hair.
Yeah.
You're genuinely serious, and now you don't like it?
I like it looking at it.
Yeah.
I'm looking on there, you just look
When
ridiculous.
you see me, you're all chummy, but when you got the camera, when you got the camera in front of you, you're a different beast.
That's it.
Hello, welcome to the Villa View podcast. You look so small on that camera.
I know.
Tom Julian, who
Hang
looks
on,
really
hang on,
small.
let's start
Oh
this
no,
again.
leave that in.
What's wrong with it? Something's wrong. If you could go out with one Villa player for New Year's Eve night, who would it be?
I don't know, who'd you?
Alan Hutton.
Alan Hutton.
Yeah, I think he'd be lively.
I mean, most of our local rivals, when they get anything against us, they seem to celebrate it like a win, which is not how I like to operate. It's quite small time. But
Sure, but
each to their own. Just a little prank there.
No.
Prank Sinatra.
Didn't see that.
No, okay.
And somebody came up to Dan. I was like, "Oh, I love what you do with the Villa View. It's so good. Love the podcast. Love the podcast." I mean, I am literally half of the podcast. And Dan's just like, "Oh yeah, there's Tom as well." He's like, "Who?"
Hello, welcome to the Villa View podcast with Thomas Julian and myself, Danny Zuko Bardell, because I do look like John Travolta with the way I'm dressed tonight from Greece.
Yeah.
How are you, Tom?
I'm okay. You have gone. It's kind of like when an old man tries to dress young and be hip and cool. You've tried way too hard.
Dolan's not here this week,
and,
mate, isn't he?
I can tell that the style has gone out the window, and you look ridiculous.
Someone actually said in the comments yesterday that I'd outdone Dolan in the fashion sense. So that was good. I always think that's a compliment, because if you think I try hard, that man tries 100 times harder.
Well, he does, but
You
then,
don't try at all.
I don't try at all. No, so I don't really care. But to be fair, Dolan just wears black. I don't really see what
Slimming.
I don't see what the point is. Like all this fashion stuff. I don't really believe in fashion. It's a waste of time.
Really?
He'll spend he'll spend like 50 quid or something on a black T-shirt. It's just like,
To be fair, I do that as well.
why bother?
I don't know,
What's
just-
the point?
Well,
Exhibit A.
I think the pictures tell their own story. I've noticed with the intro, it doesn't even start now.
No.
It just immediately turns into a slanging match.
Listen, I don't want to start. The longer that we can put off talking about Aston Villa's game against Wigan, the better for me, because
That's
it
true.
was absolutely turgid. I will say I'd listened to the podcast. And I enjoyed it. It was good, really good. Nice to see. Well, I listened to it, so nice to hear Chris.
Never nice to see you.
And well, I never watch. I always listen.
I never do anything.
No. You live it though, don't you?
No,
you live
no.
it. It was good. Although a couple of things to answer for, really. Well, just with regard to the game, there was a couple of things where it's like, okay, it's fine that we play a reserve team against Swansea because, as long as we have a big performance against Wigan.
That's not my fault.
No, but I'm talking about Villa.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, I
something
thought you
to
said I had a couple of things
No,
to
no,
answer
it's
for.
like you make those kind of claims, and you're totally right.
Well, we did
like,
the same last year.
Yeah, but it worked.
Yeah, it did work.
So you rest the players, and that's all well and good. But then when you go out and get drubbed 3-0 by a team that hasn't won in 8 games, then what are you doing? The other one was Kalinic, and it was like, yeah, and this isn't a dig at Kalinic because he played all right against Wigan, but you lose 3-0 in your opening game, and you need to have a bounce back game. To lose 3-0 again is just. It just looks awful. And he didn't play that badly, but it
Apparently
looks
played
awful.
well.
Yeah.
Tough gig being a goalkeeper at Aston Villa this season.
Yeah, well, this is what I said to you a couple of weeks ago. I think goalkeeping is the hardest position, and Chris raised the point that we've had a run of poor goalkeepers that we've actually owned. Obviously, Sam Johnston not included there, but you make a mistake as a goalkeeper, and you don't even make a mistake, and you could lose 3-0. I thought Kalinic actually handled himself well, made some good stops. We'll come on to the game in more detail, but he actually played well, gave a good account of himself, and we've lost 3-0.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, although we've not been in any great shape leading into the game, I did not expect us to lose 3-0 to Wigan.
No.
I'm not being disrespectful, but would not have foreseen 3-0.
Well, for context here, Wigan winless in 8 before this game. They're 20th in the league. They haven't scored in their last 3 home games. Lost them
Can
all.
we talk about something else? I just don't want to talk about it. It's
Yeah.
it's horrendous.
I thought you were going to bring up a point, but
I've got
literally
no point.
anything.
Let's just do a podcast on anything else.
Cambridge
today.
United won 1-1.
Yeah, Sunderland till I die. Let's do a podcast on anything.
We could do that. But that's the context. It's not being. I think in the preview, people were predicting a decent win for Villa to get right.
Dan
Rolinson, indeed. And I don't think that's being disingenuous to Wigan fans, because it's just the way that we were hoping that it would shape up. And Wigan probably would have said, if we get a draw at home to Villa, then that's probably a decent result. As it was, they absolutely bossed us, and Paul Cook set them out perfectly, and they totally deserved to win.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen the highlights that were on the EFL show on Sky, because I've got to be honest, I couldn't be bothered to watch it. I was quite apathetic towards it. I was frustrated. I mean, it's always different when you're not at the game, so I've not been to that game. The people that were at the game, I feel enormously sorry for. Like Adam Wright taking his son to his first away game and Villa get trounced 3-0 by Wigan.
Yeah.
And I keep saying by Wigan, and it sounds really disrespectful, but it shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
I said to you on the way in, I was debating whether is that the worst result we've had in the Championship. It's got to be up there.
It's definitely up there. I mean, you and I went to Sheffield United, and that was terrible. But at least there was some kind of...
They were a good side, though.
Well, yeah, that's true. And there was some solace in the fact that we knew the end was coming for Bruce at that point. Whereas this is a new era under Dean Smith. It's supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be fun. And we were in decent form kind of before Christmas. Everyone was talking about how November was really hard, and if we got some good results there, then that would be great. We got through November, that was absolutely fine. And then towards the end of December, everything's just tailed off and cataclysmically fallen apart.
So you pulled out some big words so far.
That was good, wasn't it?
I don't think you even knew you were going to say that word until you said it.
As soon as it started coming out of my mouth, I was like, there's a huge amount of pressure to finish this word. And I'm not sure I could say it again. But it's true, we've fallen off a cliff. And there doesn't seem to be any reason. Like, a lot of the questions on Twitter have been, what are the reasons for what's happened? I don't know. Like, the defensive side of the ball still isn't settled, but we don't look confident in any facet of the game.
Yeah, we've stopped scoring as well. We don't look as it's like that we stopped scoring because, to be fair, Tammy's in the main still been scoring for us, but we just don't look as free flowing going forward at all, and we have gone backwards. If you look at when Smith came in, won the first game as managers quite often do. Good solid 1-0 win. Had a few scares, but in the main, you could see that in his first week he'd managed to do something. We then lost the next two. Norwich game I didn't really like what I saw, but we were at QPR away. We lost 1-0, but again there was some kind of signs there that there was something coming. We then go on a really good run, beat some really good teams. We're flying, we're thinking, right, here we go. We're really on to something. The players seem to have taken on board what Smith wants. Everything's jovial. And then it has coincided with injuries. I'm not having that's the reason. That cannot be the only reason. Just because Jack and Axel aren't there, it doesn't lead to this, in my opinion. And then after that lovely run of whatever it was, the signs were there. There was games like Stoke at home where it was 2-2 and we didn't play well, but to be fair, we scored 2. We still came away with a point. Then there was the Leeds game. We were 2-0 up and we threw it away. But that can happen. Leeds are a very good side. We managed to bounce back and beat Swansea, but then from then it's just been nothing.
So do you think there's a butterfly effect here? You know, if we hold on, we beat Leeds. Do you think that the season is different, or do you think that the end result is still the same? Injuries catch up with us, but the form is not. The form is the main. I'm trying to put what you've just said there into some context. Where
it was a lot of gibberish.
Yeah, if we beat Leeds, then the morale is up, the form is up, everyone's feeling much better, but we still have those injuries.
But we won the next game. We beat Swansea on Boxing Day away, so I don't look at the Leeds game as being something that really hurt us because we bounced back. Neil and saved a penalty late. Again, you'd think the atmosphere would start to pick up again. We had to Preston a few days later and we draw 1-1 in what looked like a pretty drab affair.
New Year affair, yeah.
And then it's not been great from then, has it? Even the Swansea game wasn't brilliant, but it was a win. And the second half I thought we were okay. But it's just getting progressively worse, isn't it? We've got worse over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And now, suddenly, it's a bit worrying. Like I said last week in the podcast, there's a danger that the season turns into a 16-17 style season, our first season in the Championship, where we just dwindle away and fall out of contention, and it ends up being a nothing season, which we can't really afford. And it's not Smith's team, and Smith deserves time. I think people getting on Smith's back. It's okay to question some of the stuff at the moment because I think he was questioning it himself.
Definitely.
After the game, he questioned his 3 substitutions. Definitely, in his post-match, it's fine to question a manager, but long term, he needs time.
Well, Peter Wilkes asked the question: is it best to clear the decks and give Smith the summer to put his plans in place? I think the answer to that obviously is overwhelmingly yes. But in the meantime, you still have to play the next 5 months of football. It's not like we can just fast forward and go, all right, we're going to take this, we'll finish 13th and then we'll move on. We're still only 5 points off the playoffs, which is ridiculous, but it feels like we've been saying that since October.
Well, we've got away with it because other teams have been losing.
And that's-
But we've not taken advantage of that. It's more, well, phew, we've just stayed in contention.
Exactly.
It's like flying by the seat of your pants rather than like making up the ground, building momentum.
Well, we'll talk about Hull City in the preview more, but they are the informed team, and they're the ones that are making the ground, and they seem to be the only ones. You're right.
Yeah.
Everyone's beating each other, and especially over Christmas, there were some odd results. But to go back to Peter Wilkes' question, you know, we still have to. We have to deal with what we've got here, and Dean Smith has to deal. He's got January, but we're not a free spending team still, as is evident. That's the reason that we've got players like Courtney House in. With all due respect to him, he's not a household name.
Nice.
But we've obviously brought Kalinic in, which is a big signing. But I don't expect them to be too many more big.
No, I don't think there'll be any big money. I mean, he's building the foundations with House, isn't he?
Oh goodness!
Sorry, that was poor, but I felt like I had to get it out. Once I thought of it, I felt like I had to get it out.
You know, when you think of things like that, you can just see a smile creep across your face, and it's just like, whatever happens.
Terrible at poker, I'd be.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful at poker.
So the point is to answer Pete Wilkes.
We tried to answer this 4 times now.
Wilkes' question: do you clear the decks? Not really, because you still need to play football.
I don't think you
still
can
need
clear
to
the
think.
decks.
Yeah.
The people he'd want to get rid of, one probably not going to want to go because they're on big money at Villa, so Villa end up paying a portion of the wage anyway if they do sell them. It's not that easy to shift players. You can't just get rid of people. Someone's got to want to buy them.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Some of them are getting towards the wrong end of their careers, really. People aren't going to want to take them.
Yeah, totally.
And they're not going to want to go because they might not get paid that money again.
You talk about the players that you want to get rid of, and they are all the mid-30s guys. You talk about El Mohammadi. Obviously, you're talking about Richards, McCormack, but El Mohammadi, Jedinak, Bunn to an extent, although we kind of need Bunn at this stage.
We've got. I suppose Nealon's injured. He's third keeper, isn't he? Sarkic could do a job as third keeper, couldn't he?
He could,
think.
yeah.
I think he's on loan as well, actually.
But the point is that we're trying to get rid of these old players. I thought it was interesting, Dean Smith talking about sending players like Callum O'Hare out on loan to get them more experience, because he doesn't trust our young players. I think that's quite clear, right? If he did, then we would have seen more of them already.
He's a manager that would favour playing youth. Dean Smith, if he felt they were ready, he would play them. It's not like Bruce, where you think he'd rather play the season pro. I think Dean Smith would rather play a younger player.
But that says a lot.
Yeah, he obviously doesn't think they're ready.
Yeah, and so he's been talking, I think, with. There's a couple of teams interested in Callum O'Hare, for example, and he values the fact that you go. What did he say? He said something like.
I'm surprised it's not in the notes.
It might even be. No, it's not in the notes. He said that playing alongside players that rely on these wages for their everyday expenses. You know, like playing in League One, League Two, where you're not going to retire at the end of the end of your career. You need another job. There's a huge amount of experience to learn by playing with players like that who need to play well to feed their families, essentially.
Yeah.
And you play real men's football. It's not under 23s, and there's a lot to learn. So it'd be interesting to see if Callum O'Hare goes out on loan and where he ends up.
It's a difficult one with the loans because you don't want to send too many out because you never know, you may need them. But then the majority of the time they're not gaining anything from being a bit. It's not like Man City where you Phil Foden and you're training every day with Sergio Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, and you're picking up things. With all due respect to our players, it's not the same. But you do need to keep some around because you may need them. But then on the flip side, if Callum O'Hare, admittedly he's had problems with injuries, while Grealish has been out, if Callum O'Hare hasn't got on the pitch, except for the FA Cup, and when is he going to get on the pitch? Redden. When's he? You'd have thought he'd have got a game at some point by now, with especially the way the defence has been and with the injuries in defence. So I'm pleased to see Hepburn Murphy go to your first team, Cambridge
United.
But he's one that struggled with injuries, which is probably one of the reasons why he's not gone out on loan before in Villa's defence. But he needs to play. From what I've seen from Hepburn Murphy the first time, I couldn't tell you whether he's going to make it or not because it's literally been 2-minute bursts, 3-minute bursts from Hepburn Murphy. So I can't tell you whether he's going to be good enough for Aston Villa. Players that are great in the under-23s don't always turn out to be good in the first team. And Jack went on loan to Notts County all those years ago, and it was the making of him. He came back the next season, was on the bench under Lambert, and when Tim Sherwood came, and he got in the team. So it's a good grounding for players, and Jack Grealish would say himself that taught him a lot, and he learned a lot from that experience. Yeah,
I definitely think that's right. I think there's way more positives with these players going out on loan than playing in the under-23s continually. Keenan Davis is another one. I'd love to see him get another run of football, and it's not going to be at Villa. But if he can play regularly in League One and learn to be a little bit more, like find a finishing touch, essentially, because he holds the ball up so well, he brings in other players, and he could be a really useful asset to Villa. I think there's a danger that these young players get disillusioned because they're just playing in the reserves or the under-23 so much, and they never get their chance, whereas they see some of the players that they've been playing with at England under-16 level or whatever get a chance elsewhere. It must be so frustrating as a player. You think you can do a job and you're just not getting that chance.
Especially when things aren't going well, especially when you've had injuries. And with Villa over the years, if I was a young player, when there's injuries, young players haven't come in. Generally, it's been people who've been played out of position. And I don't really like that when that happens. I always think you should have 2 players for each position, and then if both of them are injured, play the young kid, because fans will forgive bad performances from young kids as well, because you're bound to get inconsistency. I just think there's got to be some kind of pathway. And to be honest, at Villa, who's the last one you would class as coming through, other than Keenan, was probably Jack. There's not been that pathway for young players. I mean, even you look at the young players we've signed, like Bree. Again, at the moment, I couldn't tell you whether Bree's going to make it at Villa or not. I've got some thoughts on James Bree, actually, which we might come on to later. But there hasn't been a good pathway at Villa for young players in the last few years, I don't think.
No, I think the last stage is going out on loan, because it does seem...
And that's the stage that's been missing.
Yeah, exactly right. We do seem to have some some hot prospects coming through, but yet they seem to fall off for one reason or another. And then we see players go to other clubs and make it. So maybe it's that time in the first team that they just never got at Villa. Then we let them go, and then they flourish somewhere else. I think it's interesting.
Then Suleiman, sorry to interrupt you. Suleiman's gone out on loan a couple of times and it hasn't worked out.
Well, that was the point I was going to come on to. Mitch Clark, we had a Port Vale fan.
Yeah, I saw that.
Tweet us, and I can't remember his name, but there was a conversation going on.
You won't listen, doesn't matter.
No, but there was somebody else who brought it to my attention, certainly. And apparently he's had quite a hard time, and Port Vale are now looking for another left back.
They've signed one, haven't they?
I don't know.
I'm sure I saw a follow-on. I'm sure I saw a follow-on from that tweet that they had signed someone.
So that's another important point for Villa there, that Mitch Clark isn't ready to play. So at least we've learned that Mitch Clark isn't quite right.
You see, I've got another theory.
Go on.
About stuff like that. Gabby Abonhor, I mean, some people will have never rated Gabby as a footballer anyway, but he went on loan to Watford and did nothing. Then he comes back and ends up getting in the Villa first team and does well. He doesn't always work that way, because it hasn't worked out at a lower level club. Some people then come and flourish when they get a chance in the first team.
Totally, but I think sometimes it's a change of environment that's good, because again, going back to what Dean Smith says, you kind of learn the value of what you're doing as a professional footballer. You're living the dream that you and I wish we could, and to play alongside
Still
people.
Time.
Yeah, sure. I'm not yet 30.
That's
so
true. You've definitely got time.
I hit my prime. To play alongside these guys, you go, oh, do you know what? And these seasoned pros, I'm 20 years old. I've still got my whole career ahead of me. Maybe that will change it. I think one of the best examples of that is Harry Kane. You know, he went out on loan.
Yeah, that's another example of someone who didn't do well.
Yeah, and had troubled times, but then got back to Spurs and has absolutely flourished, as we've all seen. I think he's 4th on the Spurs record goal score already, and he's still so young. And
yeah,
and it's an interesting one because the loan market, we've always looked at the loan market for what we can get in, but actually maybe under Smith now we're looking to see what we can get out of it as well, which is positive. I
will say the rules don't help. The transfer window rules. So it used to be that you could loan a kid out somewhere, and then if you got injuries, all of a sudden you could just call them back. Whereas now you can't do that. So I think that hinders clubs. I think that needs looking at, because, like you say, it's a pathway for players' development. But some teams, Villa have done it. It's a just in case. They keep people just in case.
It should
favour they can't call them back, and it doesn't. Yeah. It should favour the players. It should favour the players' developments. And there's been a lot of good work done over the last few years that has improved the culture of youth football in England, and we're starting to see the benefits of it now in the England national team. The players need to go out and play, but they kind of become backup squad options, and then if there's no injuries, they don't get used. But we've certainly been reluctant to send young players out on loan, just in case. Callum O'Hare was an example of that last season. He had a few games off the bench, and then we didn't see him again, and it's because they can't risk it. Clubs can't risk it.
Yeah, well, Bruce blocked a move, didn't he? I think it was quite close, Callum O'Hare, and I can't remember who.
Those rules
was.
need changing. Let's get a petition going.
Yeah,
that's
the next step.
I'd have thought when you were saying about like you can still make it. Isn't it like do referees ever have get-togethers where they have like 11-a-side games? Teams of referees play against each other. Does that happen?
No.
Not a referees team you could join.
No, because referees are.
You didn't. That'd be fun for you.
Referees tend to be terrible at football, don't they? I am the exception that proves the rule.
You do some play.
I'm okay. Yeah, but you got an age limit in refereeing as well. You get to a prime in your refereeing where you go, I'm not going to make it here.
Really?
You have to be under.
You've passed that, I imagine.
Well, it used to be.
Actually, you can't have done.
Well, I haven't passed it, but to get up to the Premier League,
you've been out of the game for a long time.
You have to be under 38, I think, to referee in the Premier League. It might be 40 now.
Mike Dean is not under 38.
I think it might be 40
He's
now.
not under 40. Mike Dean, surely.
It definitely used to be when I was in.
Not now.
When I was in the prime, you want to look it up, don't you?
I do, but we can't.
Anyway,
I could on my phone, I suppose. You keep talking, I'll have a look.
When I was in the prime of my refereeing career, a young hot prospect.
When you were 11.
Yeah, I'm sure it was 38 that you had to be 38 or under.
Absolutely no chance that Mike Dean is 30. I mean, Mike Dean was the same generation as me.
Why didn't you Wikipedia?
Well, I tried. It wouldn't let me click on it, mate.
Wikipedia.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks, sir. Born 2nd of June 1968. 50. Mike Dean is 50. You should know that.
I couldn't be any more wrong.
Where's your handbook? It should say in the handbook, should it not? Can you bring the handbook next week?
I don't have it. It's probably at home, actually. I'm going home next weekend.
Bring the handbook.
I'll try and find it.
Get your mum. If your mum's listening, can you dig out Tom's refereeing handbook,
That'd be really
please?
helpful. Anyway, we have massively digressed onto
Good, because
referees.
I don't want to talk about Villa.
We have to get onto the Wigan game, and it was dreadful, right? So, I mean, that's it. We're done. That was the Villa view for this week. It was just Villa had a couple of early chances. Balassi had a chance.
Abraham missed a good one.
Abraham missed a. There was really not much pressure on Abraham there. To not hit the target, I thought was very poor.
I mean, it is poor, but I think if we can forgive anyone for in front of goal, I think we can probably forgive Tamer.
Yeah.
I mean, although it does completely change a game if that goes in.
But that has been the one knock on Abraham, that he gets a lot of chances and he wastes a lot. And this week he didn't.
A bit harsh, but yeah, it's a touch harsh.
It's generally the consensus. Like I was going to say, if you knock him for anything, then that is the thing.
I mean, he missed one at West Brom.
And if you're going to put 2 away, then it doesn't matter. But the fact that we only had 4 shots on goal, none of which on target,
that's bad.
It goes to show that you have to try and take every chance you can. And Tabby Abraham really should have done better with that. Early
for sure. What annoys me with that more than anything is that when we make a mistake, we always get punished. A team tries to give us a goal and we're not getting the stand. Like that's the difference. Those are the fine margins. Like any time we make any slight, even if it's like a slight positional error, we seem to get punished. When a team's giving you a gift, you need to take it. Yeah. Especially at 0-0 when you're on a bad run.
Well, and at 0-0, what was it, 40, 41 minutes gone, and Kalinic makes a great save, and we think, okay, that's really good. Ball goes way out to the left-hand side. Neil Taylor just kind of shepherding the man.
Neil.
Turned on a sixpence. It's like he just drops off concentration for like a millisecond and gets done.
Yeah, but I can forgive getting done. It's the aftermath.
Yeah.
Where was the chase? He just stopped. He shouldn't never just stop.
That's what I mean, though. I think he switches off and he's just kind of lost it. And then, by that point, I think he's worked out that Pilkington's absolutely turned him. The ball's already heading into the middle of the park, and the annoying thing, you talk about luck, it just sits up so perfectly for Gary Roberts. There's no way he means to volley that, but his first touch just kind of bounces up, and it's just such a sweet strike from Roberts. To be fair,
that's a good finish, but he shouldn't be that easy to get through us.
No.
And I've been saying for weeks, oh God, we need Neil Taylor back. We need Neil Taylor back at left back. He's underrated. And he goes and does that. And he's been good since Smith's come in. Neil Taylor, I think we can all agree that, but I didn't like what I saw there.
Do you think it was a bit of rustiness from being out for a few weeks? He
played last week, didn't he?
But, yeah, that's true.
I mean, not that last week was any good.
Yeah.
I just think you can forgive getting done. I can forgive that, but he should be making more of an effort to get back. To get back. He might not have got there, but he might have put the guy under a bit of pressure or something, because I don't remember anyone else getting out to Pilkington. Typical as well. Pilkington's only just signed for them, and that was his first game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he comes, hits the ground running against good old Villa.
That's the way it goes.
It is the way it goes.
That's the way it goes. And then a very smart header from Jacobs, and he takes it really well, this nice diving header. But who's with him? Like, he's got all the time in the world. And I think there's 2 or 3 other, or there's certainly 2 Wigan players kind of around him, and absolutely no Villa player within 5-6 yards of him. That looked absolutely shambolic.
Got to be honest, I feel like I've erased it from my memory because I just can't picture it.
Can't picture the header.
No.
It's a lovely weighted ball.
Oh, okay.
But
Kalinic had a little flap at it.
yeah, but it's
He's not going to get it.
it was such a good header.
Wave goodbye to it.
Considering Kalinic is absolutely huge.
He's a giant, isn't he?
The header comes from a fair side out and on the side. Like, Kalinic has got a fair amount of the goal covered, and it must be such a powerful header that there's nothing he can do.
No. I feel very apathetic towards this game. I'm not really enjoying talking about it.
Well, I think that it's all summed up at the end with the Glenn Whelan penalty, isn't it? Like, the whole thing is an absolute mess from start to finish. I actually think that Courtney House should take more of the responsibility. I know people hate Glenn Whelan, that's why
Rusty.
he's the main problem, sure, but Courtney House kind of fires it into Whelan. Whelan loses control of it, makes an absolute hash of it. There's no doubt about that. And then
It's just panic stations, though, isn't it? Like, just prodding the ball back towards goal.
yeah. Did you think it was a penalty? Josh Windass goes down very
I think
cheaply.
it's soft. I mean, Josh Windass has had a big laugh about it at the end. I don't know whether you saw it.
Yeah, I
He looks
did,
very pleased
yeah.
with himself, doesn't he? Which tells me he knows that he's got away with one.
Yeah.
I don't particularly think it was a penalty. I could see why it's been given, but it is extremely soft. But then we made our own trouble again. Mm-hmm. I kind of think, we deserve that. We deserve to concede from that bit of sloppy play.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, to be honest, at that point the game was kind of done. Wigan came forward time and time again in the second half. Villa didn't create anything. Didn't look like they were going to get back into the game. Again, it's kind of this thing. If you go in at 0-0, could it be a different game? But the way Villa were playing, it was just so lethargic and disappointing.
I mean, 3-0 against Wigan is not a good look. No shots on target against Wigan is not a good look. 4 shots overall is not a particularly good look. And then if you sit there and dissect the goals, it's not good defending.
And again, to bring it back, Wigan hadn't scored in their last 3 home games. They're in no form.
I did not see that coming.
No.
I did not see that coming. Because I was hoping that the days of just bad, stinky displays were behind us, but that, as I said, that's as bad a result as I remember. Like, the Sheffield United game was grim. I think my view of it is kind of topsy-turvy by the fact that we managed to somehow make some good videos that day.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was, at least I can say it was against Sheffield United, who are a good team, the second, aren't they? Looking at your notes. So Sheffield United, a good team.
Yep.
Where are Wigan? Even after that win?
They were 20th, they're now 19th.
How many points are they off us now?
9.
Yeah, so that's not a million miles away. Is it? I mean, there's a closer distance between us and Wigan than there is to us in the top 2, I'm going to presume, without knowing the maths.
50 points to 39, so yeah, 11 points. 38, yeah, 12.
It's just not a good score.
Yeah.
There's nothing positive, and Dean Smith said himself, there's nothing positive to take from that. I've got some, did this last week, Aston, who travels, considering he lives in Taunton, gets to a lot of games.
Aston?
My mate, Aston Radford, fair play to him.
He's going to ask for a paycheck sooner or later.
No, he knows. I mean, to be fair, I asked him he sent me some notes earlier that were worse than your notes in terms of size. I said, can you cut that down, please? He's not cut that down at all. So I just pull out some little bits of what he said. Like Swansea last week, we performed extremely pedestrian, allowed a Wigan side boosted by the return of a few key players and so on, and appeal to press us and get amongst us. That seems to be a recurring theme. Teams are pressing us, whereas I thought that was what we were trying to do. The whole game, we didn't put in a big tackle to make a stamp on the game, win a second ball, play with any quality or purpose. A performance with a lack of ideas and a plan summed up by one single shot that was anywhere near in Tammy's effort in the first half, which we've just spoken about.
And it wasn't that near.
Quite possibly the worst Villa performance on the whole in many a season. I mean, I do feel like we as Villa fans say that a lot, but as the stuff I've just reeled off, none of it's a good look.
Yeah.
So it's probably fair. Kalinic made 2 cracking saves to keep the score down. One inside the first 10 minutes, which should have been a warning sign of things to come. He's broke down the goals conceded, but to be fair, we've not done many good jobs today, but we've broken the goals down quite well. He says there's so much to go through, dig out what you can from there. And he said, I haven't even mentioned the triple substitution in that.
Oh, yeah. So the triple substitution was widely criticised.
Thank you, Aston, by the way.
Yeah, thanks, Aston. Widely criticised by everybody, essentially. What did you make of it?
I mean, to be fair to Smith, he's come out and admitted that it's not gone well, which not many managers do, so I respect him for that. He's obviously tried to do something, and I think his reasoning for House was pretty sound. He wanted it to offer a bit more balance. He said Chester was trying to bring the ball out, which is what Twanzebe had been doing, but he's always on his wrong side. But then I think, if Chester's the one bringing the ball out and left side is not his natural position, then why isn't he playing on the right anyway and Elphick on the left? Because if Elphick's not the one bringing the ball out, and I know it's not Elphick's good side either, then surely it makes more sense for Chester to be on his right side if you want him to bring the ball out.
Yeah.
That was my first thought.
The logic makes sense there.
I've been a big advocate of Glenn Whelan. I don't like getting on his back. I think he's an easy person to pick on. Glenn Whelan, obviously, he's done a wrong 'un for the third goal.
He's had a couple of those clangers this season, which doesn't... Like, if he could play 85 minutes of a great game and have 5 minutes stinker, then he would still be the villain.
Yeah, I mean, but people don't like him. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I think if you're 2-0 down, why are we bringing Glenn Whelan on?
Yeah.
He's not going to... Maybe Smith thinks he will get some control of the ball with Whelan on, but it doesn't sound like Bjarnason was having a particularly good game, to be honest. And since he's come back from injury, he's looked really rusty, and he's just not looked himself, Bjarnason. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. But I mean, I've been hammering Bruce in the last few weeks, but if Bruce had brought Whelan on at 2-0 down, there'd have been absolute uproar. And I'm sure there was uproar in the crowd.
Well, there has generally been on Twitter, hasn't there, with the triple substitution?
It's a strange substitution. There seems to be at the moment. And again, I think Smith needs time. I think he deserves time, and I think he's the right man for the job. And I'm completely backing him. But that doesn't mean you're not able to question things that happen during the game. And I'm sure he'd sit, if we were friends, he'd sit down and explain it to me, and he'd explain it well, and he'd have his reasons for doing what he's done. But there seems to be a reluctance to move away from 4-3-3 at the moment. But the simple facts are it isn't working, and surely a better option is to just go 4-4-2 and bring Hogan or Davis on. Yeah, and have a go, surely.
We've had a couple of questions on the style of play. Chris Cash, do we need to be more pragmatic with style of play until Smith has his own players in? Are our current crop too old? And Eleanor Cox, with Jack Grealish out, should we consider a formation change?
Generally, I think 4-3-3 with the players we've got is the formation that is the best formation for us. But I do think if it's not going well, there has to be a bit of flexibility. I mean, we saw how not to change formation last season away at Bolton and Hull when Bruce was chucking all the strikers on. But if instead of bringing Whelan on for Bjarnason, if we bring on Hogan for Bjarnason, we can go 4-4-2 because the two central midfielders that are on the pitch in Connor and McGinn are capable to play in a two because they've got energy, although I'm sure they're both looking pretty leggy at the moment because things aren't going well for us. Last season when we went to 4-4-2, he put Jack Grealish in as one of the two, which doesn't suit him. You're not going to see the best from him. I just think to me, that would be the change that I'm not a football manager, but that would be the change that I would make because just try something different. Have a go. Bring a Whelan on for Bjarnason isn't going to do anything.
Yeah, the alternative is playing El Ghazi a bit more in that Jack Grealish role, which has been mooted by a few people, but Dean Smith seems unwilling to do that. This is kind of the range of Villa fans at the moment. Some people desperate for El Ghazi to play that role. The others saying that El Ghazi's rubbish and not even worth it. I saw him score two of the best goals of this season, I think, in back-to-back games. So I'm unwilling to write him off just yet. Could he play that Jack Grealish role?
Well, I don't know because I haven't seen him there. But there is no people going about this Jack Grealish role that, for the last year and a bit. There is no Jack Grealish role. Jack Grealish has been playing as a number 8. He's not been playing as a number 10. He hasn't played as a number 10 for a long time. So there isn't that Jack Grealish role in the current system that we play.
Well, he does kind of. He has his own role. It is still a Jack Grealish role because he kind of does what he wants. He runs the midfield.
He has to get back though.
Yeah, but a
number 10 stereotypically wouldn't be one that would get back.
I'm not saying El Ghazi should go in and play a number 10. I'm saying that El Ghazi should come into the centre and be the one that moves the ball forward because at the moment we look too stationary.
I don't think moving the ball forward is the problem. I think the central midfielders that are there, generally when things are going well and on song, McGinn, Bjarnason and Horan would like to move the ball forward. The problem is that there isn't anyone to receive the ball in those areas at the moment other than Tammy. I think our wingers have... I'm asking questions of the wingers at the moment. People keep going on at me about the central midfielders. I think the wingers have got to look at themselves as well. There's a general lack of consistency. Like you said, El Ghazi was brilliant for a couple of games.
Yeah.
But then since then, when he's been in, he's been very inconsistent. Balassi's very inconsistent at the moment.
Yeah.
So Adoma would be the one for me that I'd pick every week because I know I'm going to get a shift from him defensively. And to be fair to him, Blues game, for example, he gets assists.
Can you see a time where you play Hurahan, McGinn, El Ghazi, and then Balassi and Adoma?
I don't think you'll see it. I think if he was going to change formation, I think he'd have done it by now.
Yeah.
I just don't see him doing it, and that's fine.
But that's not changing formation so much. It's still trying to. I'm still trying to get back into that El Ghazi Grealish kind of comparison.
I know, but we don't play 4-2-3-1. We play 4-3-3.
Yeah, but it's the third man in the three is free. Do you know what I mean? Is it
not free though? I don't think. When you're in a 4-3-3, I don't think there's any free man.
But Grealish.
That's why you're playing 4-3-3 because extra legs.
Yeah, but he's not shackled. He's not an attacking midfielder. He's not a defensive midfielder. He gets around.
To me, if you're playing 4-3-3, you've got a defensive midfielder that is the deeper one.
Golan Kante.
Well, he's not playing there for Chelsea, but yeah, I get what you mean. But we're trying to play a different. So the 6 is the deep-lying playmaker, basically, to coin a football manager position. Mm-hmm. So when Connor's been playing there, Bjarnason, they're the deep-lying playmaker to get the ball, give it to the people in front of them. And generally, when we've had our best midfield, that's with Connor, McGinn, and Jack. That's worked because Jack's there to pick the ball up, and then he creates space for other people. There's not that player at the moment that's creating space for anyone else. Like Aston says, it's easy to have the intensity against us and press us because there's no one dropping into that space. No one picking up the ball in the areas that Jack picks the ball up.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of what I'm trying to say. Is El Ghazi? Could he be that man? Does he have the ability to be that man?
What I'm trying to, I think we're trying to.
You don't know.
I don't know what we're doing here, but what I'm trying to say is, you're saying about El Ghazi.
Yeah.
That would mean El Ghazi playing as an 8, which there's no way he could do, in my opinion.
Right. So that's where I'm
because
getting
we're not playing with a 10.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You don't think he could play the 8?
No way. No way.
Interesting.
Well, I think we'll buy a midfielder. I think we'll get 2 more players in. I think one will be a midfielder, one will be a left back.
Right.
That'll be my prediction.
Yeah, Jack Grealish causing problems, but
he's due back. He's due back.
Not in the right way.
He's an irreplaceable player, as I've said before. As I said earlier, though, I don't think you can put it down to just 2 people being out. I think that's an easy get out because we should still be good enough to cause teams problems. We've got enough stars. I mean, Balassi, for example, has been paid probably the highest wages in the Championship. I'm going to go with. I can't think of many people that would be on more than him.
Ross McCormack's probably one.
Yeah, probably a few players within our own camp are running him close. But Balassi's on big money, and I really like Balassi. And again, when Smith first came in, he was coming off the bench. I was thinking, right, here we go, Premier League player, looking good. He gets in the team against West Brom, for example, Middlesbrough away, Derby away. He was brilliant, Balassi. He came on a sub in Derby away actually, but he was good, wasn't he? Mm. But now everyone since that Birmingham game, and this is the thing with the scapegoating, no one's doing it. I don't think you can. The only one that could probably come out and say he's been somewhere near his best, and that's on a goals basis, is probably Tamer, because the QPR game before Christmas, to be honest, he was working on scraps, and he's still come away with 2 goals. I think if you asked any Villa player at the moment whether they were at their best, they'd say no. People say about McGinn's the only one that comes away with any credit, but he's not near his best either. He's not been the same since the first half against Leeds.
I was going to say that to you.
I really like McGinn.
Yeah, huge fans of McGinn, but he is suffering from, 1, probably knackered, and 2, the whole team's not playing well, so that's going to affect McGinn. He can't win it on his own, so he's not. Yeah, he's struggling as well in that system. As
Villa fans in general, social media, I think there's as I said last week, Don, there's a lot of rubbish on there. And some people will think what I say is rubbish. That's probably fair enough, probably on occasion.
Very true.
I do talk rubbish.
Yep.
But what do we get? I don't get how people can say at the moment, oh, it's this person's fault, it's this person's fault. It's a collective. They're a team. Nobody's doing it. Even the manager included in that. He's not getting things right at the moment. He said himself it's the lowest point of his managerial career. So to me, that's the acknowledgement of, well, I'm not at it at the moment either. Nobody is at it at the moment.
Dean Smith, I told the players after this game that this is the bottom of where I've been so far in my managerial career, and it should be the bottom of where Aston Villa is. I'm a Villa fan, and to lose 3-0 2 weeks on the spin is very, very disappointing. That performance was rubbish. It was very poor, and I've got to earn my money now and make sure it never happens again. Overall, I thought they ran harder than we did, and that's the most disappointing thing.
The disappointing thing is that he said the players all sat and the staff all sat down and watched Man City against Liverpool, and that he commented on how hard Man City worked, because that night against Liverpool, Bernardo Silva, for example, world-class player, in my opinion, Bernardo Silva, but he didn't half run as well. His performance was phenomenal. Fernandinho was just in the right place every single time. Again, probably a world-class player in his position. So those players are putting in the yards. To say Wigan have outrun us, well, again, it doesn't sound good, does it?
It does not sound good. A few comments coming in. I think we've touched on a lot of them. Pat Singleton, static midfield without a ball carrier. Don't have enough support or flair near the opposition area. That's kind of what we're trying to talk about with El Ghazi. Dazza says, who are we missing more, Jack Grealish or Axel Twanzebe? Steve Robinson highlighting Axel's form as well.
Both massive misses. And okay, we're 100% not going to be as fluid without those two there, but that team should not be going to Wigan and losing 3-0.
And 3 months ago, Axel Twanzebe was getting a fair amount of stick, and from me, not more than anyone, but I was in that camp. I was like, he's not cut out to be this centre half that we hoped.
You were worried after the Sheffield United game. I mean, he was playing right back in his defence, but you were worried about him after that game, weren't you?
But I was, and even when he was at centre back, to be fair, he was playing alongside Alan Hutton. I don't think he ever had a consistent centre-back partner, but I was concerned that he's such a big lad and yet he wasn't going to win the header, and since Smith has come in, he's been able to be a ball-playing centre-back, which is what he wanted to be, and so we've seen so much more from him. It'd be lovely to have him back and have that calmness on the ball.
He's going to be at least 6-7 weeks away, isn't he? Still Twanzebe.
Very, very tough, and it'd be interesting to see whether Courtney House does turn out to be that player or not. I think we had mixed reviews, didn't we, you and I, a couple of weeks ago?
I think it's not that he's a massive ball player, but he's not bad on the ball.
Yeah.
But again, I've seen a few things on Twitter. I mean, Twitter's not a good barometer to come away with feelings, to be honest, because it's so hyperbolic.
Yeah.
I know, but there are people saying House is terrible, blah, blah, blah. What have we done? It's been a bit chucked into the deep end there. We're not playing well as is. And he's come in having not played in the Championship or Premier League level for a while. It's difficult to come and hit the ground running straight off the bat.
I would hazard a guess that throughout the season, with the exception of John McGinn, every player has been thrown under the bus as not good enough on Twitter by Villa fans.
Grealish got pelters at the start of the season. No, he doesn't care, blah, blah, blah. He's too focused on the fact that he could have gone to Spurs.
Grealish
Again, the whole team wasn't playing well.
Tammy Abraham got it when it looked like he might go to Wolves. Obviously, Neeland got it. The
Chester's had it.
Chester's had it. Hurahan gets it all the time, including after this weekend. There was a lot of anti-Hurahan stuff again. Codger always gets it, and sometimes rightly so.
Fair, I'll give it Codger.
But I mean, there's place for it, because as fans, we have a right to our opinion. But the 24/7 nature of Twitter means that it's just constant. Bree was getting it a little bit this weekend. He'll never be a right back. You want to come on to Bree? I don't know if that's a good segue or not.
Yeah, I'm not getting on his back, because I'm saying nobody is playing well, and if you're one of the ones that hasn't been in the team, it's difficult to then come in and be a world beater. It's not going to happen. I must have seen Bree play now maybe 15, 20 times, I'm presuming, which isn't much considering how long he's been here now. But I still don't know what he is. I don't know if he's good going forward or not, because I've simply not seen it when he's played. I'm not blaming him for it.
Yeah.
But I was under the impression when we signed him that we'd got this real attacking right back. I thought that he was like a right back version of Luke Shaw, and I'm not just saying that because they look a bit similar. I thought that was what we were getting. He was ripping it up at Barnsley apparently. I mean, it's a confidence thing because he's not had a great time since he's come to Villa, but I've just not seen anything coming forward really. He's had some good moments under difficult circumstances when he's come in and he's had to play left back against Cardiff as a sub. He came in the playoff second leg against Middlesbrough and did a solid job, but going forwards I've not really seen anything from him since he's been at the club, which is what I thought he was.
Yeah, I don't know if it's again an injury thing and we're still trying to fit square pegs in round holes, but he's not had a consistent position.
He's had a consistent run at any point either, which doesn't help.
But even if you just take the Dean Smith era, he's played more games under Dean Smith than he has in the last couple of seasons with Bruce. But he's played at centre back. Then he goes to right back, and does he need to does Dean Smith need to go, all right, you're going to be my right back?
I think he does. I think he needs to say to him, look, you've got 10 games here. You've got 10 games. You're my right back. Maybe he has done that because he obviously started ahead of Hutton, which is the first time that's happened since Dean Smith's been at the club. So maybe he will do that. I just think players only hit form and they're playing consistently. When you're in and out of the team, it is very, very difficult. But I think Bree does need something like that. He needs an arm around him and to be said, look, you're a young, promising right back. I'm going to give you 10 games. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, well, we saw it with Taylor, didn't we? Like he came in under Smith and got better and better and better, and then Villa fans were actually missing him once he got injured. Obviously, not come back as strong, but maybe needs that. He just needs a good game and a confidence boost, and he gets back to where he is.
I mean, I'm presuming we're going to bring a left back in. Maybe when that happens, Dean Smith will say, like he did when he first came in October, was it? When he picked that consistent back four of Hutton, Chester, Twanzebe and Taylor, and the goalkeeper Neelan. Maybe when we've got the new guys in, maybe it is just sink or swim. Pick a back four that you think's your best back four and stick with it. And okay, you might lose one game 3-0, but we were losing 3-0 anyway. Yeah. Long term, you might settle you down a bit over time and gain you some more points in the future because you've got that settled back four with a goalkeeper that know each other's games. At the moment, it's different people every week in defence, and that is why we're shipping goals.
Yeah, AVFC Swan, are you worried that we haven't signed a left back yet? Is it FFP parameters, or are we struggling to find a good quality available left back?
I mean, I think one of Villa's problem is the market I think we're shopping in is maybe players that aren't playing in the Premier League, and no left back there leaps out at me as someone we could bring in. The obvious link is Rico Henry.
Rico Henry.
What did you call him?
Rico Gathers. I think he's a tight end.
Oh, okay. You're getting your sports mixed up, Tom. But then sounds like he's had a. I saw the Brentford game on Saturday. He's had a stormer on Saturday. Scored his first goal. So if we want him, the price is now going to go up by a couple of million straight away. But Brentford probably with dealing with Villa will want to charge more anyway because we've took their manager.
For sure, yeah.
So Bardell may be one that ends up coming in from Brentford purely because he's out of contract, so he's going to be cheaper. But I'd imagine, just by the process of elimination, that Rico Henry's played under Smith at 2 clubs. He will be the left back that Smith wants.
I mean, we could probably bring in Rico Gathers, to be fair.
I mean, I've got absolutely no idea who Rico Gathers is.
Big, strong and fast.
Quite a handy name, though, Gathers, if you're an American footballer. I imagine that's a...
Do you want to know a story about Rico Gathers?
Not really.
He played
his
whole college career. He played basketball and then elected for the NFL draft and got picked in the 5th round. How good is that?
Had he played NFL before?
He played high school American football.
This story is boring, Tom.
Okay, anything else from the Wigan game?
Not really, just I'm saddened by it all.
Yeah. You're saddened by the league table.
I'm very saddened by the league table, top 12th.
Bang average, 12th, 38
and to be honest,
points.
that's, with the exception of that great run we had when Smith first came in, that's how it's been this season, really. You are where you deserve to be. But there's a chance to rectify it.
Yeah. Did you see James Collins played for Ipswich?
He had a storm,
and they won.
Accounts,
and then today he said that he was embarrassed with what happened at Villa. Basically, he signed a 5-week contract, then pulled his calf, would have been out for 4 weeks, so he tore up his contract.
Fair play to him.
Actually, I didn't have a high opinion of James Collins. I don't think you did.
I don't rate him as a footballer particularly.
I always thought he was a bit of a money grabber, and I don't know where maybe I got that from, but he was like, look,
he's probably wronged you in Football Manager in the past.
Maybe.
You've held it against him.
Mate, I just associate him with a bad culture at Villa.
When he was kicking down a nightclub door with Chris Hurd and Fabian Delph.
That's probably
at
why.
one point, yeah.
But he tore up his own contract and said, I'd feel wrong getting paid, and he's gone to Ipswich and they won.
I was surprised to see him rock up at Ipswich, to be honest, because I think it was Lambert that let him go. From
Villa.
From Villa, yeah, it was Lambert that sold him to West Ham. So I was surprised to see him rock up under Lambert.
I don't think. Well, he said himself he wasn't getting offers. He basically had an offer from Newport County, which is where he's from, and he basically thought that he could play at a higher level than that for the next couple of years. And maybe Ipswich were the ones that said we need something.
I mean, they're in trouble, aren't they?
Ipswich are bang bottom.
Yeah, but I'm saying the gap between them and Rotherham.
7 points.
Oh, is that you?
But it's hard to get those points when you're losing. It's easier to... Well, I say it's easier to get them when you're up the top. It's not, but it's much harder
to definitely be hard to get them when you're sat in 12th.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard to get the points there.
I think it's a difficult situation for Ipswich, and I think the way that James Collins was already talking, I think there's generally a feeling, an ominous feeling.
All our old managers are rocking up around the Championship, aren't they? Obviously, Lambert's at Ipswich.
Bruce at Sheffield Wednesday.
He's going to Sheffield Wednesday on February the 1st.
Yeah.
Martin O'Neill's gone to Forest today, which truly pleases me. Really pleased for him.
He's made the notes.
Has he?
Yeah.
I might as well do that now.
Well, I just wanted to have a look at the table very quickly. We've got distracted. Sheffield United in second now, in great form. But then it's Norwich, West Brom, Middlesbrough and Derby. 7 points between third and sixth now. So there's the top two top three rather, are kind of creeping away. Villa still only 5 points off the playoffs, but with a bunch of teams ahead of them at this stage.
We're 3 points off 7th, aren't we? Obviously, we don't want to finish 7th. That's no good to anyone. But
Yeah.
we're not. I mean, Bristol City have not really been up there all season, and suddenly they find themselves in 7th. I would have described them as having a bang average season up until now. So I thought Blackburn were doing really well, but they're sitting behind us in 14th. There's still time to get this right and get ourselves going. It needs to be an incredible second half of the season. But I just look at that top 6 and think Leeds, Sheffield United, Norwich, West Brom, Middlesbrough, Derby.
They're all good outfits.
Yeah, do you see them realistically, any of them dropping out?
Yeah.
Derby, they're obviously easy to say because they're sat in 6th. Middlesbrough I would have down as they're going to get playoffs. I would think West
Birmingham
Brom
in 8th.
Yeah, I just think you look at that top 6 and think, are any of them going to drop out? It's going to have to be a hell of a turnaround already.
Yeah.
And obviously, we keep saying 5 points, but that's a good top 6 there. I'd class them as pretty. They've been pretty consistent, obviously, because they're the top 6, but none of them have come from nowhere, have they? They've been the top 6 for the season.
Yeah.
It feels like to me. I'm pretty sure we haven't been in the top 6 all season.
We were hanging around 6 for a while, and even under Bruce in the early stages.
Yeah, that was it when we won our first 2 games.
Yeah. You're right though. The top 6 look strong, and
drawn too many, mind you. Blues have drawn 12. Forest have drawn 12. I do worry, as much as I don't like him. I mean, he grew on me a little bit when he ignored Chris Dolan away at QPR. But Martin O'Neill, he will go in there and he will start off well.
Yeah, so Nottingham Forest are 9th right now, so it's a bit of a risk. They got rid of Aitor Karanka last week, which generally seemed to be reasonably popular with Nottingham Forest fans. I don't think fans like the way he played. So they're 9th with 39 points, so 4 points off the playoffs right now. Martin O'Neill has a huge history with that club, won the European Cup with Nottingham Forest, 360 or so appearances for the club. So he knows the club, he loves the club inside out, you know.
Can you love a club inside out?
I don't know, I got those mixed up today. But how you don't like Martin O'Neill?
I don't love him inside out.
We've had this debate. There's a Villa View podcast on this. If you delve into the depths,
Don't go back and watch that.
it was good. It was a good podcast.
Okay.
And we had a fan
watch
vote,
it.
and more fans I think voted that they liked the Martin O'Neill era than didn't like it.
Well, I liked the era, but I'd take it over today for sure.
But do you think he can do a job at Nottingham Forest? Do you see? Basically, let me put this to you: if one team are to make the playoffs right now, who do you think is more likely right now, Villa or Nottingham Forest?
Don't ask me that. I don't know. I just do think he'll go in there. I think long term it's not a great appointment because I think his time's been and gone. O'Neill, but I think to begin with, he's a good motivator. I can't say that he's not. He's a good motivator. He'll go in there and I look at some of their players and think, it's kind of an O'Neill player. Where I think Graben will instantly like O'Neill and do well under him. They've got people like Jack Colback who are just sturdy players, aren't they? He'll like Dawson at centre back.
Yeah.
I just think he'll get something out of them to begin with. He'll get a bounce, but I think long term, his time's been and gone. He'll start to get out thought and out tacticked. If that's a word, it's definitely not.
It's not a word, but I know what you mean.
I mean, I've obviously got a bit of a vendetta against him. Haven't I, O'Neill? I can see why Forest fans would love it. Obviously, it's like if an old face got the Villa job. It's a bit like when John Gregory got the Villa job. Well, Brian Little. It's more like Brian Little.
Yeah.
When Brian Little got the Villa job, Villa fans would have been overjoyed because he's one of their favourite sons. Martin O'Neill's one of Forest's favourite sons. He didn't look very pleased on his unveiling picture.
He's never very pleased these days, is he, Martin O'Neill? Had a tough time with Ireland, didn't get the best out of them.
I mean, he got them to the last 16 of the Euros, which in fairness, but I've got to be honest, that whole tournament was a farce.
Yeah.
So pretty much anyone was getting to the last 16, weren't they? Because of the format of the competition.
Feels a long time
I watched
ago as
a few
well.
of their games this season because I was interested in how our players. I wanted to watch our players more than and I wanted to watch Callum Robinson because I like him. They just look terrible. They look terrible. I've said it 3 times now. I do think his time's been and gone. It's brave bringing Roy Keane with you.
Yeah.
Because he's just a firework.
Stan
he's just
Collymore
waiting to go off.
Stan Collymore had a pop at Roy Keane. Did you see this?
No.
It was just basically he gave. I mean, Stan Collymore not a man to give managerial advice, but he basically said to Roy Keane, "You can't be the type of manager that says that he hates all the players and the players are rubbish and all this kind of stuff." And it's like that's who Roy Keane is essentially. I guess that's his management style, and you have to have someone the yin to the yang almost.
I mean, when he first went into Sunderland, they were bottom of the league, and they were champions.
Yeah.
So he obviously does know what that season anyway. He knew what he was doing, didn't he? That's a hell of an achievement, and we've seen ourselves. Championships are a difficult beast. So fair play to him. He's got something about. But I just can't imagine he likes anyone. I don't even think he probably likes himself.
No.
His wife must have a constant nightmare. He likes his dogs.
Yeah, he does love his dogs.
He does like his dogs, and as a pet man, I can definitely relate to that.
But he's a Nottingham Forest alumni as well.
Yeah. Good word, alumni.
So thank you. Yeah. You've been very complimentary of my words.
Once a year, I'll be complimentary towards you.
Let's see how it works out. But I really hope that
I could talk about this all day.
They don't take the playoff spot that could be Villa's. That'd be frustrating.
Forest are the new Sunderland in the podcast. It's been the whole podcast talking about different teams.
Do you know what? I almost brought up Sunderland till I die again. And I was like,
it's done now, Tom. I finished it. It's done now.
It's good though.
No, it's enjoyable. I'm looking forward to the second series.
Is there a second series?
Oh, there will be. I think they're filming now the League One stuff, I believe.
Really?
I could be wrong.
No way.
Oh, look at the excitement on your face.
No, more incredulity because it's like...
I mean, that wasn't a good word. That's not even a real word.
Incredulity? That's definitely... Incredulous?
That's a word.
Incredulity is a word. For the first time in this podcast,
boffing you.
I'm right. But if you're the, I mean, Martin Bain is not there anymore, the executive director or whatever he was. If you're running Sunderland, there's no way you let the cameras in again.
But it was a good doc.
Yeah, but it didn't paint anybody in the backroom staff in a good light.
Chris Coleman came out of it quite well, I thought.
But Chris Coleman isn't really in the backroom. Like, do you know what I mean? The heads, the management, the CEO. Like,
I thought Bain came off all right. I did. I thought he'd come across okay.
I thought he came across as he couldn't do anything.
I don't think anyone could have done anything.
But that's the point. Like, why would you paint your club as a club that can't make anything happen?
Well, they interviewed the new guy.
Absolutely disastrous.
Yeah, but they're not this season.
They're in League One.
Yeah, but it's going okay.
Yeah, but it's fine. But
let's not talk about Sunderland again. Alienating people here.
I'm really surprised that they would do another one. I'd like to know if they are doing one. All right, a couple more comments before we go. Sunil, surely it's time to give O'Hare a chance. We're desperate for some creative flair. Bin off Burke here and play Hourihane deep, McGinn and O'Hare in front. Kind of talked about O'Hare, whether he'll get the chance or not. It's Burton or Bristol Rovers that he's been linked with on loan. Dave Alford, if we drift along way away from the playoffs, would you stop playing our loan players and focus on players that will be here next season?
I don't think we know who's going to be here next season.
I guess you know.
I thought we'd have seen more of... I know obviously Tammy's been on absolute fire, but even off the bench, I'd have expected to see more of Hogan now as what I think he's the only player that's played under Smith before, and he did well under Smith by all accounts. I'm surprised we've not seen more of him. It just hasn't happened. It's just not happening for Hogan, is he, at Villa?
No.
As much as I want it to. So far, it's just not happening.
I thought this was a joke earlier, but maybe it's true. Jerry Girardi.
You thought his name was a joke? Or?
No, his name's fine, but I can't say it. Looks like Richards might be off. About time.
I saw that as a rumour. There's no foundation in that at all.
Is there not?
He will leave Villa and never play football again.
Yeah.
Pretty much like I said that would happen. I said Gabby wouldn't play again, and he hasn't.
Well, presumably Michael Richards can't play football. Otherwise,
I don't think so.
Otherwise, he would have been closer at least to the first team.
I saw him at the training ground when I was doing the Luke Roper stuff, and he looked pretty lean to me.
Really?
I thought he looked in good shape. Yeah.
Is he one of these players, a bit like Ledley King, obviously nowhere near as good, but Ledley King could barely train, could he? He basically trained one day a week and then played the game and then was in constant recovery.
He's a bit like Paul McGrath, wasn't he, Ledley King, to be fair? But not as good as Paul McGrath.
Yeah.
Who is?
Yeah, sure. James Price, I think we all know why we lost, because one member of the Villa View team said we were primed for a 2-0 defeat now at Wigan. Only reason I could think of.
I don't think that was me. Maybe it was me. I don't remember. I say it like...
You can't have said we were primed for a 2-0
I may have said it as a joke, like, oh, now we've said all this, we're going to... Rollo was overly confident, I thought, in the match preview. One match ban for him in the match preview.
Mike at Geeky Gonzo, are all our youth sides now playing the same high press style of Dean's, making the transition to the first team easier, or are they being coached differently? I guess that's what you were referring to with the England setup, how all of the England teams from youth level all the way through are now playing in Southgate's way of football, which is, he was involved in the youth setup obviously, so has been involved the whole way through. That's surely got to be the plan. at Villa. And if
You think so?
you kind of think though, if it wasn't the plan before, why wasn't it the plan?
I mean, I think it was the plan. I mean, remember we had the Aston Villa engine.
Yeah.
That never really got off the ground. But that was what we were supposed. That was what we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It never happened. That was what we were supposed to be doing. I mean, it's common sense, to be honest, that you have the academy playing the same way as the first team, and that's one thing now. Okay, it's not working for whatever reason at the moment, but Smith is clear with what he wants. He's got a way of playing because he's implemented it at 2 clubs previously.
Yeah.
So you'd think that would be something that should be happening. I've not seen enough of the youth teams or the under-23s to know and to be able to answer that. Yeah. That's
it. A thoroughly depressing podcast, wasn't it, really?
I mean, we still managed to have a few laughs. We try and make the best out of it, don't we? To be honest, no one wants to listen to an hour of misery. So you have to have a few laughs. As bad as we feel, you have to have a few laughs. I will shout out someone on YouTube who last week, couldn't tell if this guy was being serious or not, told me and Dolan off for scratching. Man had an itch. If you've got an itch, it's very difficult to not scratch it.
It very much is.
I felt like he was being serious. He said you've got 6 days and 23 hours.
Oh, I saw that.
6 days and 23 hours to not to scratch your itches for an hour. Don't do it. I genuinely can't tell if this guy's been serious or not.
I will apologise
now.
Yeah, because I have scratched my nose at least a couple of times. So apologies to that guy. Hopefully, it just switched off at that point.
Everything is suddenly again. We've mentioned itches, and I'm itchy.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
And we're not doing an hour 15 this week.
Do you want to do another 15 minutes on Wigan?
I don't know what else is on the notes, Tom, in all honesty.
That's it, we've done the notes.
Oh, we've done the notes. We've exhausted all our options.
Do you know what? There's not a huge amount of chat this week because we've been so quiet in the transfer market. Just like 2 weeks ago when I was here, we were talking about Courtney House and we were talking about Kalinic.
And then we actually signed Courtney House last week and me and Dolan barely mentioned it.
Yeah, so there you go. We're now looking at players like Rico Henry and Romain Sawyers, but it feels like
Twitter was picking up on Sawyers today, like it was more certain to happen. He's their captain though at the moment, Sawyers, I believe.
Right.
Playing well by all accounts, also, I believe. Might go on to Stu from Soccer AM, ask him what's going on. He'll be the man in the know. But
yeah, generally it's been quite quiet on the Villa transfer wire, and until we have more information and more exciting times to talk about, I don't really want to be here for 1 hour 15.
No, and I do need to do a couple of apologies. Well, one apology. I've not sent the Villa book, Rob Bishop's book, out yet. You'll be surprised to learn. What was that guy called?
Nuno Valente.
Oh, well done for pulling that out.
It's not Nuno.
Vexus Valente.
So that's it. Yeah.
Mr. Vexus, I will send that book out. Tom's told, give me a stern telling off.
Oh my goodness.
Tonight. I will send it. And Mr. Aston Villa shirts, if you're listening, I've still got that Ian Taylor shirt. That's a disgrace. I've had that for a year. That needs to go back.
Do you ever send those socks off? You're wearing them, aren't you?
Yeah. I never received them to send them off. That was the problem with the socks.
Yeah,
I've got a bad reputation, rightly so, for prizes. It's probably a good time to reveal that we've got another prize coming up next week. The Luke Roper team have given us £100 voucher to spend online at the Luke Roper store. Actually, I say it's online. I'm not sure if it's online or in store, but it's £100 for Luke Roper gear anyway. So we'll be coming up with an idea through the week, and next week you'll be able to find out how, by listening or watching our podcast, you'll be able to win a £100 Luke Roper clothing voucher.
The return of #Tom's a dad.
No, I think that those legendary days are over.
Lived and died.
How is it? People might want to hear it. I've not asked you. How has being a dad improved? Is it?
Yes, great.
Got worse?
No, it's
What's
great.
It done? Have you got better?
I'm really good at being a dad.
Are you?
Yeah.
No, got to be good at something.
There's not a lot you can do. He's only 8 weeks, and to be honest, the mum is the main figure in this play right now.
She's the figurehead of your household anyway, I would say.
Do you think?
Oh yeah, she dominates you. Absolutely dominates you.
Hey, listen, I'm here at 8:30 on a Tuesday.
That's true.
No, he's doing well, thank you. All good. How are the rabbits?
Oh yeah, they're good. I mean, this has turned ridiculous now. No one wants to know how my rabbits are. I wouldn't think, but I will say, Esme, Chester, and Randall are all doing well.
I forgot you had 3.
Yeah, I've got 3 now, mate. No one wants to hear about that. Let's go. You do the outro.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'll do it because you're rubbish. Oh. No, I'll do it. So thank you very much for watching, listening and enduring this podcast, to be fair. Appreciate that talking about Villa losing the game 3-0 to Wigan won't be an enjoyable listen for anyone, but we've tried to make the best of it. And like I say, we put a bit of laughter in because no one wants to be miserable for a whole hour. If you're not already subscribed to the Villa View with your post notifications on, then if you could do that would be absolutely fantastic. Leave all your comments below. We do love reading them. Tom's are terrible at getting back to people. At least I get back to a few people. people on the comments.
Since the new year, I've been good.
Since hashtag Tom's a Dad, you've been good.
Well, a couple of weeks ago I was good. There's been, I think, 2 or 3 podcasts I've been in.
I've not noticed it, but I try my best to get back to a few. I'm sure Rollo's probably better than us at doing it, to be fair, on the Villa View account. But yeah, we do read all the comments, and I genuinely enjoy hearing feedback, bad and good, whether I've itched too much or whatever. I do read every comment.
You're getting very squeaky.
Yeah, sorry, it's the chair. So thanks for listening or watching. Leave us a review on iTunes if you have enjoyed this podcast. Me and Tom now are going to record an early match preview for the whole game. Hold the form side in the Championship at the moment, so I'm sure that'll be an enjoyable watch, just like this was. And yeah, fan cams Saturday as well. Maybe you can be involved in fan cams as you're going.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah, this outro is really on the fly. So yeah, thanks ever so much for bearing us. Bye.
Up the Villa.
Nice wave. If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.